Bismillah Rahman Rahim. This is lecture number 33rd. The name of the paper is Literary Criticism 1. The name of the book is On the Sublime by Longinus. The topic is the sources of sublimity. There are 5 sources, but we are stuck in this first source. It's quite a long discussion. We are discussing this first one, the power of form and grand conception. In the first lecture of this topic, so sources of sublimity, we discussed this explanation area. Then we started doing how can grand conception be made more effective. We delivered one lecture on these first 2 points. The first method, get the essentials. The second method, amplification. Then we discussed the third method, that is imitation, in another lecture. And this is yet another lecture, fourth lecture for this topic, and especially for this subtopic, how can grand conception be made more effective? The fourth method of making the grand conception more effective is imagination. So this is the topic, imagination. It's a difficult term to understand, and different people have explained it differently. Um, for example, uh, Longinus gives his own idea about imagination. However, if we come to the recent centuries, the 18th century, for example, for them this imagination term was considered quite inferior, and it was considered that imagination is not good because it takes you away from reality. Therefore, according to this century writers, imagination is not something which is appreciated. Coleridge, however, reverses this idea. In Biographia Literaria, he talks about imagination, and he thinks that it is such a powerful thing that it makes the gift of nature more powerful. The gift of nature is our natural ability to write poetry. That ability is enhanced with the help of imagination. Longinus says that imagination is something which moves us, which impresses us, and the writer sees the things and makes the reader see it too with the help of imagination. That is, absent things are made present, and this adds to sublimity. So Longinus takes it very positively. He says that imagination is that power of the writer with the help of which he sees something which cannot be seen with the help of eyes, real eyes. And this something which he sees is seen by the readers as well. The absent things are made present, and this adds to sublimity. This is Longinus's idea. Longinus also is of the opinion that imagination plays different roles in different subjects. For example, in rhetoric, the role is of one type, while in poetry, the role is of another type. In rhetoric, or in the art of persuasion, imagination is used to clarify things and to make things clear, to make people understand. In poetry, it, however, has to play a different role. It amazes the readers, and the reader sees what the poet has already seen with the help of imagination. So, these are the different ideas about imagination. As I said, it's a dubious term. Dubious means that a doubtful term. Some people considered it good, some bad. 18th century was unfavorable century for imagination. Coleridge, however, who belonged to Romantic age, considered imagination as the best thing, the power um, to make the things appear real in imagination or in front of the writers. The writers see unseen things with imagination, And with the help of this writer, the readers also sees the same thing. In rhetoric, if it is used, it makes the thing clear. In poetry, it amazes us, and it uh, actually makes the writer see the unseen things, and the reader also sees the same thing. Longinus gives us two examples. The first example is given from Orestes of Euripides. It's the name of a drama. Orestes, also the name of a person. This drama is very similar to Hamlet, and Orestes, the character, is considered to be the Hamlet of Greek mythology. Hamlet, is the drama written by Shakespeare, and Hamlet is the type of character who cannot decide quickly and he delays action. The same is the case with Orestes, and the situation is also more or less similar. His mother, Orestes' mother, had an illegal relationship, illegitimate relationship with a man because her husband was absent. Her husband's name was Agamemnon, and he had gone to fight with the Trojans in the Trojan Wars, if you remember. And in the absence of her husband Agamemnon, she develops an illegitimate and illegal relationship with a man. After the war, he returns, Agamemnon, and when he returns, he is killed by his wife and the lover of his wife, and they both become the king and the queen by themselves. So this is what happens. And Orestes, who is the son of Agamemnon and his wife, they are his parents, he is urged to take revenge, but he hesitates, and he hesitates just like Hamlet. However, he at the end kills his own mother, and killing his own mother also, of course, is not very easy, but he does it at last. And this action is performed. Um, in doing this action, he actually performed one duty, which was taking the revenge of his father, but he violated another duty to the mother by killing his own mother. And as a result of violating this other duty, there was a clash. He was chased by Furies. Furies are three goddesses of vengeance, and when he was chased by Furies, there was no peace left for him. Longinus gives this example of this person, Orestes, and the name of drama is also Orestes, who is chased by the Furies, the three goddesses of vengeance. Euripides uh, was so involved, like Janus tells us, that he sees Furies with his own eyes, as if he sees these goddesses with his own eyes, and the readers and the watchers of the drama, the spectators also, they actually see in their imagination these Furies. So, this is how imagination works. The writer sees something which cannot be seen, and this is then seen by the readers. The second example is from Euripides' play. The name of the play is Phaethon. Phaethon is a person, and he is the son of sun god in Greek mythology, and a human mother. So he is the son of a god and the son of a human mother. He declared that he is the son of sun god, but people laughed at him. They doubted, and they made fun of him, and they wanted that he should give them some proof um, in order to be considered the son of a sun god. So, therefore, for the sake of this proof, he prayed to sun god, and his prayers were answered. And the father, the sun god, he asked what sort of proof was needed, and he was told about that proof, that he wants to take his place. Uh, this father, sun god, has a chariot, and in this chariot, he takes the sun, he rides the sun, is taken from one area to the other area, from east to the west, and he wants to ride that chariot of the father. The father thought that it was dangerous. Apollo thought so. Apollo knew that it was dangerous, but he had given his own word, and therefore he obeyed. He let him drive the chariot, but he could not control the chariot, and the chariot came very close to the earth, and the earth began burning. People were alarmed, and um, fortunately, the father um, suddenly acted, and he controlled the chariot, and as a result, this accident was prevented. So Longinus tells us that this is the working of imagination, that he actually saw what he wrote, and he made the readers see it all. So this is the power of imagination, with the help of which all this was done. Euripides felt the same danger which was felt by Phaethon. It is imagination used, and the readers also feel the same. Euripides felt the same anxiety, the same worry, which was felt by Apollo, uh, they because the writer Euripides, he put himself in Apollo with the help of imagination. Therefore, he could write those lines as if actually he was in the chariot with Phaeton, and um, he thought that it was he was seeing all this with his own eyes with the help of imagination. So this is the end of the first source of sublimity. The first source was, as we have discussed here, the power of forming grand conception. So in the power of forming grand conception, we first explained what is meant by it. Then we discussed these 4 points. How can this power of grand conception be made more effective with the help of the first method, second, third, and fourth method. This was the fourth method. तो ये चौथा मेथड हम कर रहे हैं, इसको उर्दू में सुन लें. चौथा मेथड किस लिए कर रहे हैं, किस चीज़ का कर रहे हैं? चौथा मेथड इस चीज़ का कर रहे हैं कि जो फॉर्मिंग ऑफ ग्रैंड कंसेप्शन है, किस तरीके से उसकी हेल्प हो सकती है. तो 3 तरीके हमने और पढ़े. ये चौथा तरीका है इमेजिनेशन का, कि हम इमेजिनेशन को इस्तेमाल करके इस ग्रैंड कंसेप्शन को या पावर ग्रैंड कंसेप्शन को हेल्प कर सकते हैं. ये एक मशकूक टर्म है इमेजिनेशन, क्योंकि 18th सेंचुरी में इसको बहुत निचला दर्जा दिया गया. इमेजिनेशन को शक की निगाह से देखा गया और कहा गया कि ये आपको रियलिटी से दूर ले जाता है. कॉलरिज, जो कि रोमांटिक एज से ताल्लुक़ रखता है, वर्ड्सवर्थ का साथी, और इसने इमेजिनेशन को एक बड़ा ओहदा दिया और कहा कि अगर आप में नेचुरल गिफ्ट है तो ये इसको ज़्यादा पावरफुल बनाता है. लॉन्जाइनस ने इमेजिनेशन के बारे में कहा कि इमेजिनेशन हमें मुतासिर करता है और राइटर इमेजिनेशन के ज़रिए चीज़ों को देखता है और रीडर को भी जो चीज़ वो देखता है वो दिखाता है. एब्सेंट चीज़ें प्रेजेंट करता है और ये सब्लिमिटी में को ऐड करती है, सब्लिमिटी में इजाफा करती है. अगर हम आमादा करने के फ़न को देखें, फ़न तकरीर वगैरह, रेटरिक, तो इसमें भी ये रोल प्ले करता है इमेजिनेशन, लेकिन वो एक तरह का होता है और पोइट्री में दूसरी तरह का होता है. रेटरिक में ये चीज़ों को क्लैरिफाई करने के लिए इस्तेमाल होता है और पोइट्री में आपको अमेज करने के, हैरान करने के लिए इस्तेमाल होता है, आपको शो करने के लिए इस्तेमाल होता है कि जो चीज़ राइटर देखता है इमेजिनेशन के थ्रू वो आपको भी दिखा है. लॉन्जाइनस 2 एग्जांपल्स देता है. पहली एग्जांपल ओरेस्टीज रिटन बाय यूरिपिडीज, जो कि हैमलेट की तरह का किरदार है ग्रीक मैथोलॉजी में. उसकी माँ और उसका लवर ये اگامemnon کی غیر موجودگی میں جو اس کا لیگل ہسبینڈ ہے اور یہ ان کا بیٹا ہے، اس کی غیر موجودگی میں یہ ناجائز تعلقات بناتا ہے ایک آدمی کے ساتھ، اور جب وہ جنگ سے واپس آتا ہے اگامemnon تو اس کو مار دیتے ہیں اور خود کنگ اور کوئین بنتے ہیں۔ اورسٹیز اس کا بدلہ لینا چاہتا ہے، لیکن یہ ہیزیٹیٹ کرتا ہے، اس کے چاہتا ہے، لیٹ ہو جاتا ہے کلنگ میں، آخر کار مار بھی دیتا ہے۔ اب دو ڈیوٹیز میں یہ پھنس گیا تھا، ایک باپ کی طرف ڈیوٹی تھی کہ اس کا بدلہ لیا جائے، ایک دوسری ماں کی طرف ڈیوٹی تھی، لیکن اس نے ماں کو قتل کیا، تو اس کے بدلے میں فیوریز جو 3 گاڈیسز ہیں یہ اس کا پیچھا کرتی ہیں اور اس کا سکون خراب کرتی ہیں۔ تو لانجائنس یہ اگزامپل دیتا ہے کہ دیکھیں یہ یورپیڈیز اتنی شوق سے لکھتا ہے، ذوق سے لکھتا ہے کہ لگتا ہے یورپیڈیز نے فیوریز کو اپنی آنکھوں سے دیکھا ہوا ہے۔ دوسری اگزامپل جو ہے وہ یورپیڈیز کی کہانی ہے، فیٹن اس کا نام ہے، اور اس فیٹن جو ہے یہ سن آف سن گاڈ ہے، اپولو کا سن ہے اور ہیومن مدر کا سن ہے، اس کی ماں ہیومن ہے اور باپ گاڈ ہے۔ تو یہ کہتا ہے کہ میں اس سن گاڈ کا بیٹا ہوں، لوگ اس پہ ہنستے ہیں، مذاق اڑاتے ہیں اور وہ پروف مانگتے ہیں، تو یہ دعا کرتا ہے اور دعا اس کی قبول ہوتی ہے، اپولو قبول کرتا ہے، اور فادر اس کو کہتا ہے کہ تمہیں کس قسم کا پروف چاہیے، تو کہتا ہے مجھے تم یہ اپنا جو کہا جاتا ہے کہ اپولو کا اپنا ایک چکڑا ہے، اس میں یہ سورج کو گھماتا ہے ایسٹ سے ویسٹ کی طرف، کہ اس چکڑا جس کو گھوڑوں کھینچتے ہیں اس کو میں رائٹ کروں گا۔ تو یہ کام ڈینجرس ہے، اپولو سمجھتا ہے کہ یہ خطرناک ہے، لیکن اب اس نے وعدہ کیا ہوا ہے تو یہ اس کو دیتا ہے۔ یہ زمین کے بڑا قریب آتا ہے ہارسز کو لے کر، اور زمین جلنے لگتی ہے کہ وہ واپس کنٹرول کر دیتا ہے۔ تو لانجائنس ہمیں کہتا ہے کہ یہ سارا امیجینیشن کا کام ہے، ریڈرز بھی سارا امیجینیشن میں دیکھتے ہیں، اور فیتن کو جو خطرہ محسوس ہوتا تھا یورپیڈیز نے پہلے محسوس کیا، جو پریشانی تھی اپولو کی یہ یورپیڈیز نے امیجینیشن میں محسوس کی اور ریڈر نے بھی محسوس کی۔ تو یہ تبھی بندہ لکھ سکتا ہے ایسی لائنیں جو خود اس چیز کو امیجینیشن کے تھرو محسوس بھی کرے۔ تو یہ اگر اب ہم اس کو ایک نظر دوبارہ دیکھیں تو ہمارا جو ٹاپک ہے سورسز آف سبلمٹی، 5 سورسز ہیں، ان میں سے پہلے سورس کو ابھی ہم نے ختم کیا، دوسرے سورسز آسان ہیں، یہ تھوڑا سا سے مشکل تھا، دی پاور آف فارمنگ گرینڈ کنسپشن، اس کی وضاحت ہم نے کی، گرینڈ کنسپشن کو کیسے ایفیکٹو بناتے ہیں، 4 طریقے بھی ہم نے سیکھے۔ سو دیٹس آل، تھینک یو اینڈ گڈ لک۔